For this video, we're going to be talking about the Philippines visa options. Unfortunately, this is going to be a fairly short video. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, and there's a few reasons for that. First one is there are a lot of types of visas. You have immigrant visas where you actually are going to be like a permanent resident, or you have your non-immigrant visas, things like work visa, student visa, tourist visa. And some of these visas, they have all their different little subcategories. There's just a whole broad set of different factors for different types of visas, what the requirements are, things like that. And unfortunately right now, my computer is not allowing me to access the immigration webpage. So before I was able to open it fine, but for whatever reason right now, the immigration website isn't working. I'm not able to record screen video imagery or whatever showing navigating the page. But I'll go ahead and put links in the description. Essentially, the way it works is if you are already married to a Philippine citizen and you're going to be moving over here, you're able to get what's called a Balik Beyond stamp. And essentially what you're going to do is when you come in through immigration at the same time they are, and you have proof that you're married, they'll go ahead and stamp your passport with a 1-year visa. From there, you can go ahead and try and apply for your different permanent residency visas. If you're coming here as a student, you get a student visa. If you're coming here to work, which is very rare, you can get a work visa. If you are moving here and when you are here, you get married to a Filipina that's here, you can go through and get your spousal visa that way. They do have a special investors visa. They have a retirees visa. The retirees visa is through a different place. It's not through immigration, it's done through the PRA, the Philippine Retirement Authority. The SRRV, Special Retirees Resident Visa, is basically a program that as long as you are within certain age groups, you are making an investment into either a bank account or into certain, you're investing into housing options. Depending on your age group and other classifications, it's maybe 10,000 or 20,000 US. And you're essentially given a visa that allows you free travel in and out. It's a very nice option if you have that money to invest. They also have a military courtesy version of the retirement visa. If you are prior US military, age 50 and older, you're able to get one of these courtesy visas. And I think it's only $1,500 plus whatever your annual fee is. A lot cheaper option, good option. But there's so many requirements. The other thing too is the requirements, the paperwork, everything can change so frequently that by putting all that information into a big ass video here, it would be kind of pointless because in a month everything could change and I'd have to redo the video over. It's easier for you to go to the immigration website, look at all the different types of visas that are available, read their descriptions and requirements. There are also a lot of other YouTube videos that give information on specific types of visas. There are basically travel agencies here, travel services, that offer visa services. So you can pay them a fee to help navigate you and get you your visa. The most common type of visa that most people get is going to be the tourist visa. The way this works is when you first arrive in the country, depending on where you're coming from, but most Western countries, your first 29 days here is a free visa. You don't have to pay anything for it. After 29 days, you must extend your visa at that point. Your first extension is usually for 30 days, and then from there you can extend it 1 month, 2 months, or even up to 6 months. If you are on a tourist visa, you are allowed to remain within the Philippines for up to 3 years. After 3 years, you have to leave the country, come back in. So if you're going through, you're extending, essentially you're just going to be able to keep on extending it up to that 3-year point, and then when you come back in the country after you've left for a day, it starts that process all over again. If you leave anytime before the 3 years, once you come back in, it starts everything all over again, like you're from day one. One other thing is, once you have been in the country for 90 days, they're going to pretty much require you to get what's called an ACR I-card. This is an Alien Certificate of Registration Identification card. It's going to look very similar to something like a driver's license, and it's going to, right on the bottom of it, it'll have your immigration status. Are you a tourist or are you permanent resident? And this is essentially your ID card that says that you're a permanent resident. You're going to be here for a long period of time. A lot of places here, like banks, etc., just to open accounts or to do certain activities, they're going to want a copy of that ACR card. That's going to be added onto your immigration fees. It's good for, I think, 1 year at a time, so every year you have to go in and renew it. But you don't have to get that until you've been here for 90 days, 3 months. Other than that, though, usually what people will do is when they come into the country, they're not quite sure what they're going to do yet, or they want a little bit more personal information about the visa types. So they enter the country on a tourist visa. You go in and you just do a couple extensions while you're trying to figure out what your different options are for possible long-term visas or even immigration, trying to go through and get like an immigrant visa. As far as where you can go for your visas, there's the BI, or Bureau of Immigration. There's their main office in Metro Manila. They also have one in like Cebu. They do have a lot of satellite offices, so sometimes these will be a separate building. Sometimes it'll be an office inside of a mall or a shopping center. If you're going in for the 1 month or 2 month visas, for your extensions, you can go to satellite offices. If you're wanting that 6 month extension, or if you have more complex types of paperwork that's involved, you're going to have to go to the main office. And that can be a little bit tricky because the main office is in Manila, so if you're going to be living down in, say, Dumaguete or Leyte, it's going to be a bit of a travel trip to go over to the main office, but you'll have to figure that part out. That pretty much will cover the visas as far as the information I'm able to provide right now. My recommendation is just to go into the website, start looking up the information yourself, see what all the different requirements are. But unless you are currently already married to a Philippine citizen, your best option is probably just going to be get your tourist visa, and once you're here, then you can start figuring out if you're going to go and try one of the other options. One other thing I will say is, depending on which country you're at, if there's a Philippine consulate inside that country, you can probably go to that consulate and actually apply for a visa before you travel into the Philippines. Now, the Philippines used to offer up to 1 year extensions for the tourist visa. They don't do that anymore. Now it's either 1 month, 2 month, or 6 month. They're no longer able to do the 1 year. From what I understand, though, the consulates are still able to issue out a 1 year extension for your tourist visas. If you're able to go into one of these consulates and go through that process of getting your visa before you have to travel into the country, having that 1 year extension, it's just going to save a lot of time, make your life a lot easier. They're even going to issue, from what I understand, you're going to get like your ACR card. You're going to do all that right there at the consulate before you even enter the country. If I'm wrong about that, you might have to come in and get your ACR card stuff done while you're here, but your visa itself is good to go. That pretty much covers it. Hopefully this has been useful information, and I do apologize that I'm not able to go through the actual website right now.